My husband's phone buzzed. "Can't stop thinking about last night," from Ashley. I didn't panic, just replied from his phone. "Me too. Let's tell my wife together." When Ashley started calling frantically, begging me not to tell his wife, I let her keep calling. I, 32 female, have always been the type of person who checks the expiration dates on milk cartons 3 times before buying. I have a spreadsheet for my skincare routine. I color code my Outlook calendar. Chaos is not a friend of mine. It's an enemy I regulate into submission. My husband, Mark, 34 male, was supposed to be the variable I controlled. He was charming, slightly disorganized, sales-driven, and, I thought, completely transparent. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7. We own a nice colonial in a suburb that screams upper-middle-class stability, drove sensible luxury cars, and had a joint savings account that we were padding for a future nursery. Or so I thought. It was Tuesday. Taco. Tuesday specifically because Mark loves a routine as long as he doesn't have to plan it. He was in the shower. I was in the kitchen scraping leftover ground beef into a Tupperware container. His phone was sitting on the granite island, plugged into the charger. It buzzed. I usually ignore his phone. I'm not the snooping type because I believe if you have to snoop, the relationship is already dead. But the screen lit up, and it was right there next to the salsa. New message from Ashley, client, do not delete. Can't stop thinking about last night. I froze. My brain did that weird thing where it tries to reject visual input. Client? Why is a client using the double heart emoji? Why are they thinking about last night? Mark had told me he was at a networking dinner with the guys from the regional office. I put down the spatula. I wiped my hands on a paper towel. I walked over to the phone. Mark is not a smart man when it comes to security. His passcode is the last 4 digits of his social. I typed it in. The thread opened. Ashley, can't stop thinking about last night. Ashley, you were amazing. I miss your hands already. Ashley, when can you get away from her? Her. Capital H. That's me, the villain in their little rom-com. I scrolled up. It went back 3 months. Photos. Selfies in his car. My car, actually. The Audi I let him drive when his was in the shop. Explicit descriptions of what they did in hotels I recognized from our credit card statements as business expenses. The adrenaline hit me, but it wasn't panic. It was a cold, sharp clarity. It felt like stepping into an ice bath. I could have marched into the bathroom and screamed. I could have thrown the phone into the toilet. I could have packed a bag and left. But that's messy. That's emotional. And emotions cost you leverage in a divorce. I looked at the phone. The little typing bubble appeared again. Ashley, hello? Marky? Marky. I almost gagged. I took a deep breath, channeled my inner sociopath and typed back, me, as Mark. Me too. I feel guilty though. Ashley, don't be baby. We talked about this. She doesn't appreciate you like I do. Me, as Mark. You're right. I think it's time. Ashley. Time for what? Me, as Mark. To come clean. I can't live a lie anymore. Let's tell my wife together. I watched the bubbles disappear, then reappear, then disappear. She was panicking. Ashley, what? No. Mark, you said you needed time to prep her. Ashley, you can't just tell her. She'll ruin everything. Ashley, you said she's unstable. Unstable. Nice touch, Mark. Me, as Mark. No, it's the right thing to do. I'm going to put her on the phone right now. I'll conference you in. Ashley. Mark. Stop. Ashley, do not do this. Ashley, OMG, pick up the phone. The phone started ringing. Ashley, client, do not delete, was calling. I didn't answer. I let it ring. I quickly went to his settings, turned off Face ID, and changed the passcode to something he'd never guess, the date of our anniversary. He'd definitely forgotten that. I took screenshots of everything, sent them to my email, deleted the sent thread from the text log so it looked like the conversation never happened on his end, then archived the chat so it wouldn't pop up on the main screen. The shower turned off. I heard the glass door slide open. Babe, did you see my towel? I looked at the phone. Ashley was calling again. I answered. I put it on speaker. I didn't say a word. Mark? Mark, oh my God! Ashley's voice was high-pitched, frantic, breathless. Why are you texting me that? You can't tell her. You said we were waiting until after bonus season so she couldn't take your money. Mark, answer me. I walked to the bathroom door. Mark was standing there, dripping wet, a towel wrapped around his waist. He looked at me, then at the phone in my hand. "Mark!" Ashley shrieked through the speaker. "Are you there? Please tell me you didn't tell the psycho." Mark's face went the color of Elmer's glue. I smiled. It didn't reach my eyes. "Hi, Ashley," I said, my voice smooth, professional, like I was running a board meeting. "Mark is a little tied up right now. He's wearing a towel, but he's right here. Did you want to repeat that part about the bonus season?" Silence. Dead, heavy silence. Then click. She hung up. Mark stared at me. "I can explain." "I'm sure you can," I said. "But first, you're going to pack a bag. You have 10 minutes before I lock the doors. And Mark, if you try to take the PlayStation, I'll call your mother." He didn't move. 9 minutes, I said. He scrambled. I walked downstairs, poured myself a glass of the vintage Cabernet we were saving for our 5th anniversary, and sat on the couch. I opened my banking app. Transfer, transfer, transfer. I moved half of our joint savings, exactly 50% down to the penny, into my personal account. I removed him as an authorized user on my Amex Platinum. I changed the password to our joint email account. He came downstairs 7 minutes later with a duffel bag and a look of pure, unadulterated terror. "Babe, please," he started. She's just a client. It got out of hand. It meant nothing." "She seems to think it meant bonus season." I took a sip of wine. "Key." I held out my hand. He hesitated. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Ashley seems eager. Maybe she has a couch." He dropped his house key in my hand. "I'll be contacting a lawyer tomorrow," I said. "Do not come back here without a police escort or a court order. If you try to enter the property, I have the alarm system set to notify the precinct immediately." He looked at me like he'd never seen me before. You're enjoying this." "I'm executing a plan, Mark. There's a difference. Goodbye." I locked the door behind him. I engaged the deadbolt. I set the alarm. Then, and only then, did I allow myself to cry. I cried for exactly 14 minutes. Then I washed my face, applied my night cream, and went to sleep in the middle of the bed. Update 1. It has been 5 days since the Taco Tuesday incident. If you think Mark went quietly into the night, you have clearly never met a man who has coasted on mediocrity and charm his entire life. The entitlement is ramping up. It's fascinating, really. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, but the car is made of audacity. The morning after I kicked him out, I called a lawyer. Let's call him Mr. Vance. Mr. Vance charges $450 an hour and has a voice like gravel in a blender. He listened to my story, looked at the screenshots I printed out, color, stapled, indexed, and nodded. "We have a problem," he said. "We live in a no-fault state. The infidelity matters for your emotional state, but legally, it doesn't get you more of the assets unless we can prove he spent marital funds on the affair." "Dissipation of assets," I said. I'd done my Googling. "Exactly. We need to find the money trail." So I became a forensic accountant. I pulled everything. Credit card statements, Venmo history, Uber receipts, and there it was. The business trips, weekends in Napa, the client dinners, $300 sushi dates on Tuesdays, the networking gifts, a Cartier bracelet that definitely wasn't on my wrist. I tallied it up. In the last 6 months, Mark had spent roughly $14,500 of our joint money on Ashley. Then the texts started. "Mark, I need my suits. I have a meeting." Me. "They are in a garbage bag on the porch. It is currently raining. I suggest you hurry." Mark. "You can't lock me out of my own house. I talked to a buddy who's a cop. It's illegal eviction." Me. "You left voluntarily. I have a ring camera video of you walking out with a bag. Also, here is the contact info for Mr. Vance. Talk to him." Mark. "You're being petty. I'm willing to forgive you for the phone stunt if we can sit down and talk like adults." I had to read that one twice. He is willing to forgive me? For catching him? The mental gymnastics required for that conclusion would win a gold medal. But the real escalation came yesterday. I was at work, managing a supply chain crisis involving a shipment of semiconductors stuck in a port, when the receptionist buzzed me. "Ma'am, there's a young woman here to see you. She says it's personal." I checked the lobby camera feed on my monitor. It was Ashley. She looked younger than in the photos, maybe 24. She was wearing a beige trench coat that looked expensive and clutching a Starbucks cup like a lifeline. I debated having security escort her out, but curiosity is a powerful drug. Send her up to conference room B. I walked in. She didn't stand up. She looked at me with big, watery doe eyes. Mrs., my last name? Ms., my maiden name, actually. I'm changing it back. What do you want, Ashley? You need to stop bullying Mark, she said. Her voice trembled, but the words were practiced. He's staying at a Motel 6. It's disgusting. He has allergies. I stared at her. He has allergies to accountability, Ashley, not motels. We're in love, she said, gaining a little steam. He told me how cold you are, how you track his spending and make him adhere to a schedule. You treated him like an employee, not a husband. I make him feel like a man. By letting him spend my bonus check on your hotel rooms? I asked. That bracelet on your wrist? That's Cartier, right? Love style? She instinctively covered her wrist. He bought this for me. With a visa ending in 4589, I said. That's a joint card. Technically, I own 50% of that bracelet. Should I get a hacksaw, or do you want to write me a check for $3,200 right now? She went pale. You're crazy. No, I'm solvent. There's a difference. Now, why are you really here? She bit her lip. My dad, he can't know. Ah, there it is. Your dad, I repeated. Mark's biggest client. The one who owns the logistics firm Mark accounts for 30% of his commission from. He's old-fashioned, she whispered. He'd pull the contract. Mark would lose his job. Then he couldn't pay for the divorce or us. She wasn't worried about Mark. She was worried Mark would be broke. Ashley, I leaned forward. I haven't told your father. I have no intention of calling your father. Her shoulders relaxed. Oh, thank God. Mark said you were vindictive, but I don't need to call him, I interrupted. Mr. Vance is filing the divorce petition on Monday. Since Mark spent significant marital assets on you, you're going to be named in the proceedings. We have to subpoena you for a deposition to verify the gifts and travel expenses so I can be reimbursed. A deposition? Yes, under oath, public record. Your father has Google alerts set up for his company and associates, doesn't he? Her eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. You can't, she squeaked. I can, and I will, unless... I let it hang. Unless what? Unless you return every single item he bought you with my money. The bracelet, the purse I saw in the photos, the Dyson Airwrap, everything. You drop it off at Mr. Vance's office by Friday at 5 p.m. If the value matches my spreadsheet, maybe we can settle the financial discrepancy without dragging you into the deposition chair. She stood up. She looked like she was going to be sick. I hate you, she hissed. Get in line, I said, checking my watch. You have 48 hours. She ran out. I went back to my desk and called Mr. Vance. She took the bait? He asked. Hook, line, and sinker. Good, because you know we still have to depose her eventually if we want to nail the alimony issue. I know, I said, but I want my money back first. I went home. I made a risotto. It was quiet. Then, at 9 p.m., my phone rang. It was Mark's mother. I haven't spoken to Linda since the wedding, mostly because she thinks career women are masculine and that I should have given her 3 grandchildren by now. Hello, Linda. What have you done to my son? She didn't say hello. She just launched. He called me crying. He says you're blackmailing that poor girl. I'm reclaiming stolen property, Linda. It's just money. Marriage is about forgiveness. He made a mistake. Men have needs, and if you were a more attentive wife, maybe he wouldn't have wandered. I felt a vein throb in my temple. He cheated, Linda. For 6 months, with a client's daughter. So? Your father cheated on your mother and she stayed. Low blow. My father had indeed cheated, and my mother had indeed stayed, and she had spent the next 20 years miserable and drinking Chardonnay at 11 a.m. I am not my mother, I said. If you divorce him, she threatened, you will be a divorcee at 32. Damaged goods. Who will want you? You're too old to start over. Mark is willing to do counseling. He's willing to take you back. He's willing to take me back because he's broke, Linda. He can't afford his lifestyle without my salary. You selfish bit. I hung up. Then I blocked her number. I checked my email, an alert from my bank. Attempted charge, 4,500 dirhams. Vendor. Luxury Escapes, Cabo. Status. Declined. He tried to book a vacation. He tried to book a vacation tonight, presumably to run away from the mess, using the credit card I had frozen. I screenshotted the alert, forwarded it to Mr. Vance. Subject: more evidence for the file. I slept like a baby. Update 2. The deadline for Ashley to return the goods was yesterday, Friday at 5 p.m. I took a half day off work. I sat in Mr. Vance's waiting room drinking mediocre coffee and reading a magazine from 2019. At 4:55 p.m., the door opened. Ashley walked in. She wasn't wearing the trench coat this time. She was wearing sweatpants and oversized sunglasses. She was carrying a shopping bag from Target. She slammed the bag onto the receptionist's desk. "Here," she said. She didn't look at me. Mr. Vance's paralegal, a stern woman named Greta, who I adore, opened the bag. She pulled out the Cartier box, opened it. The bracelet was there. Then the Dyson. Then a Balenciaga clutch. I didn't even know about that one. Good catch, forensic accounting. "Is this everything?" Greta asked. "Yes," Ashley snapped. "Now leave me alone." "We'll inventory it against the records," Greta said. "If it's short, you'll hear from us." Ashley turned to me. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red and puffy. "He broke up with me," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "Yesterday, after I told him I had to give the stuff back. He screamed at me, said I was ungrateful and that I let you win. He called me a liability." "He's charming like that," I said. "I thought he loved me," she whispered. The entitlement was gone, replaced by a pathetic realization that she was just a shiny object to him. "He loves how you make him feel," I corrected. "There's a difference. Did you tell your dad?" She flinched. "No, and you promised you wouldn't." "I promised I wouldn't call him," I said. "And I won't." She left, looking defeated. I felt a twinge of pity. Just a twinge. It was gone in a second. Because 24 is young, but it's old enough to know that sleeping with a married man is a bad idea. I went home with the bag of luxury goods. We'll sell them and put the money into the legal fund. But Mark? Mark wasn't done. Saturday morning. Today. I was drinking coffee and responding to emails. The doorbell rang, furious, rapid-fire ringing. I checked the camera. It was Mark, and Linda, and a locksmith. I walked to the door but didn't open it. I spoke through the Ring intercom. "Mark, you are violating a verbal agreement and trespassing. Leave." "It's my house too," Mark screamed at the camera. He looked disheveled. He hadn't shaved in days. "My name is on the deed. You can't keep me out. I have a locksmith here to open the door." I looked at the locksmith on the screen. He looked uncomfortable. "Sir," I said to the locksmith, "my name is my name. I am the sole occupant currently. If you drill that lock, I will call the police and report a break-in. This is a civil dispute, and my husband does not have a key because he abandoned the property." The locksmith looked at Mark. "Buddy, you said you lost your keys. You didn't say she was inside." "Just drill it!" Linda shrieked. She was wearing a fur coat. In May. "She's stealing my son's home." "I'm not getting involved in this," the locksmith said. He started packing up his tools. Mark grabbed the locksmith's arm. "I'm paying you double." "Don't touch me," the locksmith snapped. He pulled his arm away and walked to his van. Mark turned back to the camera. He picked up a decorative rock from my garden, a rock I painted, and smashed it against the living room window. Crash. The alarm started blaring immediately. High-pitched, ear-splitting shrieks. "Open the goddamn door!" Mark screamed. I didn't open the door. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? My estranged husband is currently breaking into my home. He just smashed a window. I am alone and afraid for my safety. Officers are dispatched. Are you in a safe place? I'm in the kitchen. It took the police 4 minutes. In that time, Mark managed to clear the broken glass and climb halfway through the window. Linda was cheering him on from the lawn. "Get in there! Get your TV! She can't treat you like this!" When the patrol car pulled up, Mark was straddling the windowsill, one leg in, one leg out. 2 officers approached, hands on their holsters. "Sir, step out of the window. Hands where I can see them." "It's my house!" Mark yelled. "She locked me out! Sir, step out, now!" Mark, being the genius he is, decided to argue. He tried to scramble fully inside. The officer grabbed his ankle and yanked. Mark fell back onto the mulch with a thud. They cuffed him. Linda went berserk. She started hitting the officer with her purse, a tiny, sequined purse. "Don't you touch him! Do you know who we are?" The second officer grabbed Linda's arm. "Ma'am, back up, or you're going to be detained for obstruction." "Arrest me then! This is communism!" So they arrested her too. I watched from the broken window as my husband and my mother-in-law were placed in the back of separate squad cars. Mark looked up at me. His eyes were wild. "You planned this!" he screamed. "You manipulated me!" I just sipped my coffee. I called Mr. Vance. "Mark just broke a window and got arrested for attempted B&E and resisting arrest. His mom assaulted a cop." Mr. Vance actually chuckled. "Well, that simplifies the restraining order hearing on Monday. I assume this helps with the exclusive use of the marital home motion?" "It's a slam dunk. Send me the video." I spent the afternoon boarding up the window with plywood I had in the garage. I swept up the glass. Then I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hey, it's Ashley's dad." My stomach dropped. I hadn't contacted him. How did he get my number? Unknown. Ashley told me everything. She was crying. Said she had to give back gifts. I asked why. She confessed. I held my breath. Was he going to threaten me? Sue me? Unknown. I apologize for my daughter's behavior. She has been cut off financially and sent to live with her aunt in Ohio. As for Mark, we are reviewing our accounts. It seems there are some discrepancies in his billing. We will be handling him. Discrepancies. Mark hadn't just been spending my money on Ashley. He'd been padding the expense reports he sent to her father's company. He was double-dipping. Me. I appreciate you letting me know. I'm sorry it came to this. Unknown. Don't be. You saved me a lot of money in the long run. Good luck with the divorce. I put the phone down. Mark is currently in county holding. Linda bailed out, but Mark is still there because I refused to pay his bond, and he's maxed out his credit cards. The entitlement finally hit a wall. A concrete wall, specifically. Update 3, final. The dust has settled. It's been 6 months, and the silence in my house is no longer heavy. It's luxurious. Let's wrap up the loose ends. The divorce was finalized last week. It wasn't the battle Mark promised it would be. It was more of a surrender. Here's why. After the window-smashing incident, Mark was slapped with a restraining order. He couldn't come within 500 feet of me or the house. This made fighting for the house difficult. But the real nail in the coffin was Ashley's dad. He didn't just fire Mark, he pressed charges for embezzlement. Turns out, Mark had been expensing those client dinners to the company and paying for them with our joint funds, then pocketing the reimbursement checks. He stole about $20,000 from the client over 2 years. Because Mark is facing felony fraud charges, he had absolutely no leverage in our divorce. He needed cash for a criminal defense attorney, not a divorce lawyer. Mr. Vance was ruthless. The settlement, the house, I kept it. I had to buy out his share of the equity, but since we deducted the dissipated assets, the money he spent on Ashley, and the cost of the damage he did to the window, emotional distress, the buyout was pennies. I refinanced in my name. The retirement accounts, I kept 100% of my 401k. He kept his, what was left of it. He had to liquidate most of it to pay restitution to Ashley's dad to avoid immediate jail time. The debt. He took 100% of his personal credit card debt. Alimony. None. In fact, he technically owes me legal fees, which I will never see, but having the judgment framed on my wall is payment enough. Where they are now. Mark. He pled guilty to a lesser charge to avoid prison. He's currently on probation for 3 years. He's living in a basement apartment with a roommate he found on Craigslist. He works at a car rental agency near the airport. He texted me once, a month ago, from a new number. I miss the dogs. I don't have dogs. I have a cat. He never paid attention. I didn't reply. Linda. She is still banned from the local police precinct. She sends me handwritten letters about how I am a Jezebel and that God will judge me. I return them unopened. I hear she's trying to set Mark up with her manicurist. Good luck to the manicurist. Ashley. She's in Ohio. According to social media, yes, I looked once, she's working at a bakery and posting a lot of Bible verses. Her influencer dreams are on hold. She never returned the Cartier bracelet box, but the bracelet was inside, so I let her keep the cardboard. Me. I'm sitting on my patio. I bought new furniture. White cushions, because I don't have a messy husband spilling salsa on them anymore. I sold the luxury goods Ashley returned. I got about $8,000 for them. I used that money to take a solo trip to Italy. I ate pasta, drank wine, and didn't check the expiration date on a single thing. I learned something important through all of this. Control is an illusion. You can color code your life, you can manage the supply chain, you can track every penny. But you can't control people. Mark felt entitled to a life he didn't earn and a wife he didn't respect. Ashley felt entitled to a man who belonged to someone else. Linda felt entitled to dictate my uterus. They all crashed into reality. I didn't destroy Mark. I just stopped propping him up. I stopped being the logistics manager for his life. And without me handling the inventory, the business went bankrupt. My phone just buzzed. It's a text from a guy I met in Italy. His name is Luca. He's an architect. Thinking about the dinner last night, the pasta was almost as good as the company. I smiled. No, me too. Let's tell my wife. Just a simple reply. I agree. Next time, I'm cooking. I put the phone down. The sun is setting. My spreadsheets are closed. Justice wasn't loud. It wasn't a screaming match. It was just paperwork, a locked door, and allowing people to face the consequences of their own stupidity. And it tastes like vintage Cabernet.